Okay, this is the little mini book for the swap on the group that I'm in. So I want to show how easy it is to do. It's front cover, inside page 3, and back cover. So basically it's a little 4-page booklet. Here there's a reverse waterfall at the 3 pages, and then you still have this area, and I just used some of the coordinating cardstock from the collection that I chose 4 sheets from, the belly band, and then the slash pockets for the front and back cover. So you're going to need about 28 inches of some sort of ribbon. I just use seam binding because it's what I like, and it's lightweight, and it doesn't cause any bulk when you glue it between your cardstock and your patterned paper. And this is kind of a cardstock weight patterned paper, but I even use it on the thin stuff. The base of the book is just a half a sheet of cardstock that's been scored in half. So the piece started as 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4 to then make it be a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch booklet. And then I marked it at the 2.5, at the half-inch measurement, which is 2 3/4 inches on the front and back. So when I go to glue my ribbon on, then I know exactly where my ribbon needs to be, so it lines up. Then I had all my pieces stacked up here. These are the pieces for the front and back cover and the 2 inside pages, and they are all the same measurement. They are 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall, and like I said, these came from, it was just 4 sheets out of a coordinating collection of cardstocks, so all the colors carry over from one pattern to another in the pages. And so those are going to be this particular book here is going to have that on the front cover, that on the back cover, and these 2 will become the inside pages, like that. And this is the piece that we will make the 2 slash pockets for the front and the back covers. Y'all have to excuse my voice. I sound like I swallowed a frog today. And it measures 5 inches. And when you put it under your cutting, whatever cutting tool you're going to use, line it up at 5 inches and then back it off about 1/16 of an inch. So this technically would be like 4 and whatever, 15/16. But if you line it up at your 5 inches and then just kind of back off that 5-inch line about 1/16 of an inch, then you've got the measurement you need for your width. Your height is going to be 6 inches, and then back it off about 1/16 of an inch also. And you'll understand why once we get into the process of doing it. Then this, you're actually going to put it in your scoring board and score at 1/2 inch all the way around it, and then we're going to cut it in half, and we have 2 slash pockets. Just that simple and easy. So we'll start with it so that I can show you what I do and how I make these. I used to teach a mini book class years ago when I ran a scrapbook store, and we got started, or I had gotten started making slash pockets to decorate some of my pages, and the ladies just absolutely loved it, and they were like, oh, teach us. So I had to kind of simplify the method so it would make it easy to do. So now that we've got that scored, and hopefully, I know you can see the score lines from the back side, then what I do is I just put it in my scoring board, but you could also take your cutting mat and just a ruler and X-Acto knife and do the same thing. I just kind of eyeball it because I'm not overly anal about it being so exact. and then I just cut, and there's my 2 pockets. So one pocket will go on the front and one pocket will go on the back. But we've got to trim off the excess stuff. And when this, because you're going to fold these, because these are going to be your hinges to hold your pockets in place. So you see when you fold that back, you've got to make your cut just a little bit deeper. So what I do is I just give it a good enough angle that it whacks it off, but still gives me support for the side of my pocket. And then do the same thing with the other part. You want to make sure you give so that when you fold those back, you don't see anything behind that at all. And how your pockets line up, whether it's this direction or this direction format, that's just going to be however you cut them. So that's going to be totally up to you. I wanted to make these books using the same papers, but I didn't want to make them exact. So I tried to be just a little bit different in some of the things I did on this one. And then, there's my glue. Then what I do is I always want the bottom piece to be on the outside. And then I just pre-glue those little corners together. That way I don't forget, like I almost did then. That way I don't forget which is the bottom, because then I know whichever one is showing, that's going to be my bottom, and it's going to glue to the bottom of the book. And then on the seam binding, I've got it cut, and then I folded it in half, and I gave it a pinch so that it would form that little crease for me. And then I start with one side, and I'll line that up and make sure that pulls right over that folded edge, and then flip it over and add some glue to the other side. It doesn't take much because you're going to be securing this with your cardstock or your pattern paper that's going to layer over it. And then just make sure that it comes out even. And then make sure where my pieces are. This is the one for the back. So this piece will go on the back side. And this one will go on the front side. And it didn't hurt that I wrote those few measurements down for y'all to see, because it's going to be secured under the glue. And I just used the Art Glitter glue. I ordered it from Amazon in the bigger bottle, and then I put it in the little needle tip bottles that I bought from eBay. Okay, then these are my pieces for the inside. So I want to get those glued in place. And everything is cut so that there's about 1/8 of an inch border around all of the layers. Now if you want your border to be more than 1/8 or less than 1/8, you would have to adjust the measurements. But I work a lot with the 1/8 of an inch border just because I like that measurement. So that's what I did everything with there. Okay, then this is the page for the belly band. So to make the belly band, I started with a 1.5 inch strip of the same craft colored cardstock, then 6.5 inches that I backed it off about 1/16 of an inch. And then it's going to have the 1/2 inch scored hinge at the top and bottom. And let me crease that. The reason for doing taking that 1/16 of an inch off is so when this is laid down flat and glued in place, because of the fold and the way it makes the paper move whenever you do that crease, it doesn't hang over the edge, it stays within the perimeter of the height. So it's just because I'm kind of anal and technical when it comes to that, so that's the reason I do it that way. And I just kind of eyeball it to, but you can mark this if you want. I just guesstimate it and then make sure it's right where I want it, and then just press that into place. Then I cut a layering piece from another scrap, 1¼ inch wide by 5 1/8 inch long. And this is going to go right over the top of that. And then just press that into place. Then this is what's going to be used to create the reverse waterfall. I've already cut each page to size. This is actually going to be the top page, so it's going to be 5 inches by 3.5 inches with a 1/2 inch scored hinge at the top. So I've already rounded my little bottom corners. The next page is going to be 4.5 inches by 3.5 with a 1/2 inch scored hinge. I've rounded the bottom. And then the inside page, or the page that's going to be closest to the book, is 4 inches by 3.5. They're all 3.5 wide. 4 inches with the 1/2 inch scored hinge. So I will score my little hinges on these and then show you what I do to kind of get them as close to perfect as you can without taking a chance of messing up your page and your book. And I take I had some little scrap pieces here. This one will work. I take a scrap piece that, and this should be wide enough. Yeah, because it's 1.5 inches, so that'll be plenty. But I actually cut it not quite the 3.5 inches wide. And the reason for that is so that I don't worry about it hanging over the edge. Let me move this out of the way so I can get just my pages in here for a minute. And then crease my hinges. And now if you want to add any distress ink to any of your edges and your pieces, you know, by all means, that's totally up to you. I just don't do a whole lot of that, so. And what this little extra piece of cardstock is going to be, and you'll see I've kind of lined it up where it's just inside the fold, and there's a little bit of the page that's going to hang over on each side. And what this becomes is just a little mechanism for me to line this up as close to perfect as it can get. And then because I'm going to keep this book, I'm just going to erase where I wrote on those, and I may use some more of my scraps to cover the pages, so I'm not worried about those right now. And then line this one up next to that. And before I give it too firm a press into place, I just like to make sure all the pages are lined up, and then press it into place. And there's our reverse waterfall. So your pages are going to go up like that instead of a waterfall that goes this direction. And the reason I do a lot of those is just to keep from having to put some sort of mechanism to keep them closed, because these are really good about actually laying flat on the page. I've done them for years, so this is just how I do them. And then I just eyeball that. I knew about, because I knew my page, what my top page was going to be in my width, so I knew about what I had left at the top and bottom and from side to side on that. And then we're going to glue the slash pocket into place, and I line it up right with the edge of the patterned cardstock. So there's the front one, and the back pockets. And that's all there is to it. And then tie it closed. And there's your piece to send for your swap to your partner. And if you want to, you can take another fold over piece. This was 8 inches this way by 5 inches this way, scored in half at 4 inches, and it makes a nice little fold over to put under the belly band like this, or you can put it like that and have another page flap, or you can just have like one layer of this and stick it under there for a photo mat. And then I had made some little journaling cards out of some of the scraps to add to the pockets. And that's pretty much it. So that's how simple and easy and quick the little book is to do. Hope y'all enjoyed it.